The story so far. Shion slept in her room on board the Dameron. In her dream, Fabronia appeared and pleaded with her to save Cecily and Kath, her two sisters who slept on Old Milsha with the Zohar. Nephilim then appeared before Shion again. She too foretold that Shion was to travel to Old Milsha. Shion made up her mind to set out for Old Milsha, but it would be difficult, with the security alert in effect throughout the star cluster. Then she remembered the spacecraft on board the Dameron that Kevin developed. Shion and Alan encountered an unknown enemy and were in grave danger. However, Cosmos, newly transformed, came to their aid in a craft of pure white, the ES Dina. The destructive power of the craft she piloted eliminated the enemy force in an instant. After a brief silence, the remodeled Elsa gated out, and the three joined the Elsa once again. Hey guys, this is Golden IDS, and welcome to the next episode of Xenosaga Episode 2, Jenseits, und Böse. Yeah, I've been back here doing some level grinding. I'll show you just how much. I'm now level 37, and skill points. I've got a lot of them. And the reason why you want to grind here is because while you've got no one else in your party, it still affects their level. And a lot of people say, well, what's the point of grinding, you know, now like this? Well, actually, you level up faster, so you can level your characters up faster, and technically your skill points never carry over when they're out of the team anyway, so they haven't missed out on any skill points, because the skill points that you would have had would have halved them, so you're basically dumping them all on one character. It's actually a pretty decent way. So most of the enemies here now die pretty quickly. A demonstration, I'll just go kill the one over here if it's still here. There we go. So most battles, if this is just a simple, no, it's it's one of these.
Do you really think this is a good idea?
Nope. She never thinks it's a good idea, and they never think it's a good idea, but they still keep attacking us. I've pretty much destroyed so many of these things grinding. It took me about an hour to do. It's pretty good. What you want to do is it's essentially the same as always. You boost, and you want to watch out for that little point where you can get your go in. Ow. I probably should have done it earlier on, but now with her being so fast, she'll start moving up turns in the, well, points in the turn system. So while you're at it, you can steal, and hopefully we can go to second Milsha. We're just going to show you how incredibly OP. Okay. Ow. She's got over 1,000 health now, which remember Ziggy is what Ziggy used to have before we... Oh my goodness. This is like an old battle. This is a really bad idea. Whatever. We'll just put quick on ourselves, because why not? And she's got a lot of MP as well now, which is another nice thing to have. The all waiting is for the turn system to switch, which it was not doing this time. Typical, the time that I show you is the time the turn system refuses to switch. I think we might get another go now. No. This is a shame. This is an absolute shame, because this is how it's played out every other time I've been in the bloody level. Ah, dearie me. Dearie me. You know what? Whatever. We'll just kill these guys. Now it only really ever took 3 hits, but now it really only does take 3 hits. That just filled up our boost gauge nicely, which will help. We'll boost here, because that'll get us out of the turns that we were stuck onto. And now we're on the right turn set. Want to boost after here, just because we want to make sure we're going to get in this one. And we can pretty much get rid of this VSS. Fresnel. Fresnel sounds like a crisp. Or a pretzel, really. I think that's what I was trying to go at. A pretzel. Oh, why did I even do it? No, actually, that's fine. That's boosting ahead to get my go in here. And then this one is fairly straightforward. So now, the fact you get so many boosts each time, it's really not an issue. And you can tank... I've never really run out of anything. But times 4. I haven't got any... I got like 3 times 10s, but it was only on the one that didn't give out the most points. So as you can see, per each battle, you get about 3,000. So you're looking at maybe 3 or 4 things to level up. It's really nice, because you get all the experience points. But... you want to be around about level 37, because to complete Captain Matthew's debt bastard mission, we're basically going to have to steal from one of the bosses, which means you're going to have to survive a lot against that boss, and there's no shame in doing this stealing glitch. It's either that or defeating the final boss and watching the end cutscene again and again and again. This one will take about 2 hours, where you're looking at a lot more than that. The upside of the other one is you get a lot more experience for it. So I'll end up seeing what I do. I might steal 10 of those and then go back and steal 10 of the other ones, but we shall see. Anyway, now we're here. We'll just go back to the UMN. Exit the UMN. But it's a nice place to go when you're on your own. Once you've... like, that's the last time I think you'll ever be on your own to do such a grinding exercise, so, you know, you might want to do it a couple of 1,000 billion times. Okay, and there was one other thing we're going to do. I know I said that we'd go and talk to them next episode. Well, if you notice... Oh, wow, that is a bit... at least on my screen, that's... Screen tearing, woohoo! One thing I wanted to show off was... The last episode, we got 2 key items. Where are they? Gosh, this key item list is a complete mess. Secret keys? No, we didn't get any secret keys. We got the robot right arm and the robot left arm. Well, we want to go do that now. In fact, we want to head down here to the... I don't know where it... Go down to Basement 4-1. I hope that's where it is, but I actually have no idea. Dum 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 da 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 da. I don't really... It's okay. I mean, it's happy, it's really jiggly. I don't even know what I'm doing with that one. Oh, wow, there is a bit of... vertical tearing on this place. Anyway, just want to keep going on and down here to the professor. And yeah, you can turn his swimsuit on and off. So I'm just going to put his swimsuit back on. Yes. Thank goodness for that. Why? I get the first game solved the swimsuits thing, but this game takes the next level. Everyone has a swimsuit. Although you can only get Ziggy's and Momo's if you actually work before... Sorry, if you import an old save file. So that's something you might want to do if you're playing the game now. Okay, here's the aim. I'll unlock the Type A Ether skill, Erde Storm for Shion. But first, there's something I want to tell you. Wow. See, Professor? They're angry. They look like a pretty tough bunch of guys, too. Sure it was okay to do something like this? Of course it is. Alright. Of course it's alright. After all, a genius scientist like me is helping them repair their ship. They should be thanking me. Well, maybe not. Look, they're coming this way. I'll let you handle this, Professor. In the confusion surrounding the repairs of the Elsa, the Professor and Assistant Scott joined the ship's crew. The Professor even transferred the Robot Academy from the Foundation to the Elsa. The Professor's next plan went into operation without anyone stopping him. But just when it seemed everything was going smoothly, the Elsa's Captain Matthews approached the Professor. What are you going to do, Assistant Scott? What are you going to do, Professor? What? This is weird. Why? This is so cheap. Oh, it's kind of like, I guess last time they narrated it as more of a story. So, Shion's now unlocked the Ether skill. Erde, she hasn't. Unless it's in the battle. I mean, that's the thing, you can't really see her Ether list outside. Whatever. Never mind, we'll just pretend that never happened. So she's not this Ether skill, Erde Storm. It's like the last time, every the feet, the arms, and then the torso and the body get you a special Ether skill, which is nice. I mean, that doesn't look very good. If you saw that, you'd be like, the ship's on fire, or there's a plasma fire! We've just hit a quantum filament! Guess what, I've been watching Star Trek. Okay, so now that's done, we'll head out and engage on the vast quantities of cutscenes between here and the next level. Bearing in mind the boss you want to grind on is in the next area. So, I think you can return to the Elsa once you've gone in, but I am not 100% sure. So this is really the last time you want to do a few things. That Captain Matthews drink hangover cure side quest, you want to do that now, and you want to get the other one started now. Just so you don't forget later on, because some of them are... One or two of them are actually time sensitive, which is bizarre. But yeah. So save here, and you got your EVS plate. And let's get on with it. Well, the cutscenes anyway. Oh, I thought it would actually be a big cutscene. There's Jin hitting his shoulder repetitively. I'm sure that's not good for you. Captain, we owe you one. Well, we don't, because Cosmos pretty much... Cosmos saved everyone. Yo, looks like you're causing trouble like always, Miss Vector. Oh god, trouble, just vast quantities, just mounds, chasms of trouble we're causing. You don't even know, bro. Yeah, something kind of happened at First Division. Something? Yeah, I can't put it into words very well, but I felt like I had to go to Old Milshire. What? What? What's wrong, Captain? Representative Helmer asked us to go to Old Milshire too. Oh god, I so can't do his accent. I didn't think there was anyone else crazy enough to head there. Yeah, Helmer asked me to go there too. Besides, that's where the original Zohar is. Kanan and I have old... blah 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 blah. I can't even read this. Kanan and I have business on Old Milshire as well. Representative Helmer asked me to analyze Kanan's data. So everyone's heading for Old Milshire. Cosmos was amazing back there. I love the way that Shion doesn't even question how Cosmos was actually able to fly the the ES Dina, and know how it assembled, because as I said, I was like, I'm not sure that's the ES Dina. It's part of the ES Dina, and then it joins and becomes the ES Dina. So we've got a second ES, and now we've been told that we've got a third ES for Momo, with the ES Zebulon. I call it Zebulish, unfortunately, because I can't even pronounce it, or I forget the name of it. Anyway, yeah, even I was surprised. But who was that enemy? It even dodged Cosmos' attack. I have a bad feeling about this. They say that in every game, much like they say I have a bad feeling about this in every Star Wars film. Yeah, I wondered about that myself. Alright, let me say something. Our next destination is Old Milsharite. I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but it looks like we have to go. So let me know when you're ready to set out. Until then, take a look around the newly remodeled Elsa. So I could have done that as soon as I got here, but I really didn't want to get stuck in some cutscenes. Anyway, I told you time and again to think before you act. Oh well, I'm just glad you're safe. So I assume you still intend to go to Old Milshire. Well, yes, Mr. Jinsons. The mobile weapon you were in seemed to be an ES series. Our ES reacted to it. The Vessels of Anima. We won't get into that until episode 3. I just thought I'd drop a line there. That was a pretty flashy entrance you guys made. I guess the fact we ran into each other means we're thinking the same thing. Yes. Welcome back. I'm glad you're safe. I didn't think we'd run into you out here. Well, chaos. Welcome back. This place is definitely livelier. Just me and Cosmos and Ala makes this place livelier. I'm sure livelier. Doesn't even sound like a word. Well, what do you think of the Elsa's new look? Beautiful, isn't she? There's no point in hanging around on the bridge the whole time. Why don't you go and have a look around? Or do you want to pop off to Old Milshire at top speed right now? I'll look around the Elsa a bit more. Okay, so I think we've been joined up. No, we haven't been joined up with everyone else. I was going to put all the points on Shion, but I think we'll do that when we get to Old Milshire. So we'll see you after the wodge of cutscenes that are coming our way. Let's hit it.
Momo, how's the enemy fleet trace?
They're headed for point E52 at combat speed.
Damn, they got some guts to be charging in there that fast.
That just shows how desperate they are. Of course, at this rate, we're never gonna catch them.
Captain, I must warn you.
What is it? Make it quick.
If we continue to proceed along the present course, it is highly probable that the enemy will leave a force to intercept us. It is prudent to assume that this ship will eventually suffer an extensive and unacceptable level of damage.
I'm afraid Cosmos is right. We're in trouble unless we find a route where the enemy can't detect us.
Look, I get what you're saying, but how the hell are we supposed to do that? This isn't a highway, you know? It's not like we can just take a detour or something.
Actually, there is a detour.
What?
Really, Momo? I've detected a small gap in the gravitational fields between the two black holes. If we fly through it, I think the chances of enemy detection would drop significantly.
Hey, are you out of your mind?
Right. Even if we made the slightest mistake, we'd be caught by the gravitational field and dragged into the abyss.
I guess it's impossible.
What? Impossible? Hey, who do you think you're talking to here? There's no way Tony Numero Uno's gonna turn down a challenge like that.
There he goes again. Once that moron gets started, there's no stopping him.
Ah, whatever. Do what you want. But you'd better not even think about getting a scratch on my Elsa.
Don't worry. Leave it to me. Momo, I'll be counting on you for a route.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like a bit of a suicide thing to do. That would be so nerve-wracking.
Whoa! Radar and sonar are both dead! We're not getting any readings!
It's almost like we'd be better off flying blindfolded.
Tony, I've detected a massive distortion in the space ahead of the Elsa. A large mass is about to gate out.
What?
Surprise,
They're gating out
surprise.
here?
It's one of the penis flagships. Well, kind of.
What the hell is that?
Damn, where were they hiding that thing?
It's moving into Elsa's flight path. 180 seconds to impact.
Tony, can we avoid it?
Negative. It's taking up the entire gravity well. If we screw up, we'll get pulled into the black hole.
Bastards! They're not gonna let us through no matter what!
The only thing left for us to do is to make them move. Little Master, can we take them out from the inside?
Yeah, if we can get inside, that is.
Tony, maintain present course and increase to maximum speed. Hammer, disengage all weapon safety locks. Don't worry about aiming. Just let loose with everything we've got. We're gonna dive smack dab into that thing's belly. It's time you guys showed me what you're made of.
Got it!
Aye, aye, sir.
Well, shit. Too bad we made it. Well, simpler than that, probably. Well, it could have been worse. Since we're in space, it wasn't that bad. And then the happy music. So we crash landed on an enemy ship. Da 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 da. It's just, this game specifically has the issue with serious mission. Suddenly, this happy music just comes all over, and it's just like, oh no. That was a little rough, but we made it. There's no time to waste. Let's hurry and get inside there. Take it out. It's a pretty big fortress, so we'll all take the ESs. And yeah, the stupid happy music makes everything ridiculously happy. Let's talk to the people around here before we head off then, shall we? The enemy isn't behaving very rationally. Bring out a giant fortress like this against a single freighter. Well, maybe not. Maybe they've just got fortresses to spare. It's no good. The logical drive took a direct hit. It's going to take more than a little tinkering to fix this. You'd think, what happened to shields? Like in Star Trek, they have shields. You know, most things they have shields. I guess in Mass Effect they have some kind of shield, but it's not really, it wouldn't stop energy-based weapons, it would only stop projectile-based weapons. Don't do anything stupid while during this fight, yeah, not anything at all, what's Tony want? The thing we do, the Elsa can't move, hurry up and take care of this thing. Well, you hurry up and fix this thing, because if that's pointless if we fix it. I mean, you'd think they'd like all swarm around and try and destroy the Elsa, or I guess they just leave them to do their own thing, I don't know. It looks like they've got their like shields up, or at least whatever shields they've got. It's a bit weird, the concept. Anyway, before we get in, we want to start working on skills. There's a lot of different things we want to teach them, but specifically we want to give them some coats. Some of the specific coats later on. Now, I'm just quickly going to talk about the boss fight in this area. It's... Hello, what are you doing? Okay. talk about the boss fights in this area. Essentially, what we're trying to do is the boss has two forms. One form you can steal an awakening from as a rare steal, and one form you can't. Every time it switches back to the form you can steal an awakening from, awakening 2, sorry, you can steal it again. Essentially, each time it switches, the game doesn't remember that you stole it, so you can steal an infinite amount. So we want to steal 21, to be exact. 20 will completely wipe out the debt that he's got, and the other one you want to use. Steal 22 for the hell of it if you really want to. But to survive that onslaught, we really needed to do the level grinding with Xion. Now what we also want to do is make sure, I'll give it that anyway. With Xion, we're going to actually be using her in the final boss battle. We're not going to be using Chaos and Junior. The rest of them are going to pop in depending on what form she's in. Cosmos is going to be there throughout both forms. It's going to be Xion and Momo for one form, and Jin and Ziggy for another form. So what you want to do is you want to try and teach her this, because obviously it'll help rare 10 we want. We don't really make a difference, but just the ability to add an extra stock, but also the ability to recover from status inflictions quicker. Also want to teach her these because we want extra, what's it called, blah blah. Junk beam. I forgot what junk beam actually does. 20% chance to cancel. Yeah, we don't need that. Also, what we want to do is cast not that one, but have these coats: blade coat, spear coat, and beam coat. And get hammer coat for the good of it. Also, well, we'll go back to second one. Want to have ice coat because she does kick out some ice moves. So really, those are what you want with everyone else, but it doesn't make too much. Wow, she's got nearly half as many class points, which is not very often you see that. Now, we do want a few other things as well. Oh my goodness, what did we want? Teach her some of these to try and increase resistance to any moves that she would use upon us. And while we're here, we may as well enable charge time. And is there any level 4? Level 4 is basically a lot of the awesome stuff, but it's not really worth it at this stage. I mean, that I guess would be worth it, but do we want to waste that many class points to open it up when we've not got anything left from it? Okay, the next things we want to teach them are break sensors, break arms, and break armor, as well as boost ones. So we may as well teach her all of these because they're not, we may as well get our class points back at the end. There we go. Break arms, break armor. The reason why we're doing everything with Xion is to unlock this, but basically what you want is break arms, break armor, because that's going to help you deal with Orgulus a little easy. Orgula, sorry, a little easy. That was a mix between Margulus and Orgula. Also, you really want to do this to get that and that. Boost 1 is quite handy because it allows us to just effectively turn EP into boost, which is really handy, and that because you want to heal yourself, keep yourself healed. Apart from that, that's pretty much everything that we need to do going into this fight. I mean, you could teach her that, but again, we want to try and get rid of or stop in the first place those kind of things, not do them later on. There is something called combo boost, which would be a good idea to get later on, but we have to get, basically it's a decode that we get in here, in this particular area, and then we have to come out and get them later on. Okay, right, so Chaos isn't going to be in it, so we're not interested in Chaos. Momo, well, what would be interesting teaching Momo? So she's pretty much learned all the first, okay. We really want her to have, well, we don't need her to have Psycho Pocket, actually. So what we'll do is we'll go into Class G and teach her all the break stuff. And that will net us some nice, some more points, and I think we want to finish off, that to get the points back from that. And then probably work on getting her stock and a few other things. Some of those coats definitely we need to get working on, and then maybe finish off Class E, although we can't really do that. Okay, so Cosmos is what we really need to work on. What do we have here? Not really worth much. We may as well finish off Ice Sword, get the 900 points back. Really, she does need Medica, so we'll work on those. And we can afford another one, actually. What else can we do? Really, we want the coats on level 3, so we'll have to wait a bit before we can get those. Ziggy, well, Ziggy's got a lot of points, but not very much class points, which is a total shame. But we need him to have these anyway, so what we'll do is we'll simply get these up, and we'll get some more points back, which will allow us to open one of these up. What does he want here? I mean, Ice Coat will work well, but at the moment, I think it's probably a good idea getting in Medica 2. That way we can perform the double Medica. And basically, there's another ether called Pocket Rare, which always pockets the rare one, and that's a combination of 2 or 3, so that's something you want to do. Okay, with him we want to Medica all, just trying to get back the class points. Oh, great. This is going to be a little more difficult. It may require some grinding, but right now that's kind of how it lays out. And Jin also we need to do some work with. Oh my gosh, we really need to do some work with Jin. This is kind of abysmal. So I might be doing some grinding beforehand to make sure everyone has what we need to do, because while it makes the game easier, this debt thing is a side quest which you really want to do and you really want to get done, because it's just so difficult to do otherwise, unless you want to be grinding against the final boss, which will take double the amount of time because you have to defeat the final boss, watch the cutscene, save, load the save, defeat the final boss, load the cutscene, save, and it's just, I mean, the positive is you'll end up with a lot of experience points, but the negative is it just takes such a long time. So I'll probably keep Shion out for most of it, because Shion's got most of the abilities already. Thank goodness for that. Hello everybody, and welcome back after that short interlude. It's been actually 2 years since I last recorded any Xenosaga, so this episode's quite disjointed in a sense. This is also post-commentary, because as I found out when I got into this area, the computer lags a bit. In Xenosaga 1, when you played it on an emulator, you'd find that whenever an eggs, as they were called back then, appeared, you were just ruined. The gameplay would drop to 5 seconds, and it would break it. So don't do it. But this game is far more manageable, so I just played through at about 80% speed. So here we have an Executus Armor. It's quite straightforward. As with most things here, you don't get any class or skill points for them. It's pretty straightforward. Just hit them with any beam or gun type weapons. Or electricity. Electricity's good. And thankfully, Shotbuster is a beam weapon. Sorry, it's a beam attack, so you're going to do a lot of damage there. But the Dina is pretty much going to... I'm going to make a pun out of that, but I couldn't think of any. Dina... But no, that is pretty much going to destroy them, so I wouldn't worry. Most of their attacks are pretty good, and to be fair, Shotbuster is very good at this as well. And even your regular attacks, 'cause they have quite a few gun attacks. So you'll be doing 1.5 or 2.5 times the amount of damage, so it's definitely worth doing. The enemies here are quite straightforward. You just whack them, and they die. They're not going to talk too much about their individual things. But we haven't really upgraded our ESs in a while. And because, especially the ES Zebulon is a bit weak, because it's got Momo in it, and of course any teenage girl who also acts as a magical fairy girl in Japanese games has to be weak at least some to fulfill something. You probably want to buff her up, and it's horribly sexist. But to be fair, the Dina's pretty good, and that's not being sexist because it's piloted by a robot and her female creator. Although some would argue her female creator is quite male in her frame preferences. By frame preferences, it's referring to Cosmos. I have to explain it, so it's a useless joke. But her frame of Cosmos is what she looks like, and in this game, she looks a bit different. So yeah, we'll go into one of these guys that has the swirly kind of, well, the kind of not fill semicircle. Now we've got also here is a Yakud cannon, which is fairly straightforward. It's got hardly any health to bother you. Anything of the last 3 will hit for 1.5 times the amount. And you could get a junk circuit out of it or some scrap iron, so if you want those, here's a place to grind. Remember, you want to be getting ready for the final boss of this area, which will be the place you grind to pay off Captain Matthew's debt, so remember that one. It's what we've been getting ready for a while, and what I'm going to have to remember. Yeah, as you see, Tornado Fist it overkills it by like 1,800, nearly double its health. Same with Ice Storm. You want to hit this, I can't remember what these are called now. Yes, Serra 6Fs. There's a load of Serra 6Fs, Serra 6Ss, which I'm not sure if you can hear the difference between me saying S and F, but I kind of sometimes don't hear it myself with this headphone on. You miss out on some of the, I think, high-pitched nuances that come with words like that. So yeah, the reason why I was walking against walls is because of the delay, so I do apologise for that. Sometimes it's just waiting for the game to kind of work, because the emulator doesn't load it very well. It's to be fair, it's very taxing on the emulator, any Xenosaga game, but especially this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to, I made the horrible mistake of accidentally kicking all the people off my my leaders. So you need a co-pilot for them all, and gosh darn, the controls confused me for a long time trying to get this up. But basically what we really want to be doing is kind of putting everyone back. Really, Shion should go with Cosmos, Ziggy should go with Momo, and either, well, Jin or Chaos should go with into the Asher. At the end of the day, you've got to remember the only one with EP is Momo's, so yeah, we'll put Chaos there. It's just a very confusing little system to do, and it confused me when I was doing it, and I should really have cut all this because these episodes are long enough as it is. I like to try and cover one whole story in about 45 minutes, but I think I'm probably going to cut them down to about 20 minutes of gameplay. Anyway, we'll leave Jin out because, well, he kind of uses his own eggs, and it's a bit scuppered. He just jumps in on the Asher because everyone jumps in the Asher, because the Asher is a whore of an ES. Everyone else kind of stays in their own, but that doesn't. So come over here and we'll destroy a ginormous floating thing, which will just drift off into space. And surprisingly enough, not drift towards one of the black holes. And also, if we're really being pernickety about space and stuff, if that explosion would have knocked us into one of the black holes, or us floating around hitting that would have knocked us in. But anyway, you get another Encephalon device. Remember to come back to those later on. They're all useful post-game stuff. In fact, this is one of the only games that I know that has post-game stuff, so that'll be interesting to know. And also, the reason why this isn't 60 frames a second is the game doesn't run at 60 frames a second. That I know of, unless there's a patch, in which case, God almighty, that patch is going to make the game look fantastic. So yeah, you want to continue along into the second section here. I've dropped all the maps, as you can understand, because they don't really help out, and they took about 10-12 hours per episode to do, and meh, I think is the excuse for that. So you saw there are loads of different switches. And now what here is ginormous balls with a large, long object coming out of them, and they're basically lock systems. The idea is you're turning it around. There's little lights on the side, and you're basically hitting the one to hitting the direction you wanted to go, either clockwise or counterclockwise. Notice they both spin clockwise and counterclockwise. The little sort of balls around the sort of electric field, if you will. You want to hit them until the hole is facing, so that the shaft can basically slide in, and that would disengage the locks. Which I'm sure someone would come up and say, "Oh, Mr. Sexual Innuendo," and I would say, "What are we, like 5 little girls with pigtails?" It's mostly boys who make penis jokes, which is probably to hide their crippling insecurity of their own manhood. I'm sure Freud would say something about that, because of the stages of development. I'm pretty sure one of them is anal and one of them is phallic. The things you're obsessed with. At one point you're obsessed with putting things into your mouth, which is the oral stage. And then you're obsessed with doing other things. At one point apparently you're obsessed with poos and anal, which is interesting. But there we go. Freud. This game actually has a lot of things based on Freud, and a lot of psychology, and a lot of everything, really. It likes to just go, ooh, that sounds like a good place to put a reference to. We'll do that. That'll get someone excited. And I have to say, it does get me excited. Its use of physics is something that I wish Mass Effect would go to the next level of, but Mass Effect is like the best Star Trek game ever. So I can't really complain, but this is too Japanese, really, to be a Star Trek game, or be considered close to one. Although there are quite a lot of ideas and things in here which they do use. It's kind of like that. Okay, so we're descending down this elevator, which you don't have to do at this point, but I'd say do it anyway. There is a separate area later on that we want to head into. It's just back up there, but we'll deal with this area first. And head into an airlock, because airlocks are fun! Nicely done, though. The game actually, one door has to open before the other one opens. That's good. And then this really gives you a scale of how huge the ESs are compared to people. A scale which is always feels a little off at later points. Like now, they don't feel as big, but what can you do? They aren't meant to be that huge. Yeah, just checking there's nothing on the edge of there that would give you loads of money or something, but they don't. Also, it's nice to note the ES, the save plates, never change throughout the games. You just get other plates that do different things. Okay, so you kind of want to come here to hit the switch. You don't have to do it now, but you can do it now. Because what you really want to do is destroy those big boxes, which you can't do. You have to come back as the ES, because obviously they are too huge for your minuscule abilities to destroy. So back through the door, and we don't really have to activate that switch now. It's actually a bit of a bad way of doing it. Oh no, it depends, actually. I think you do have to come to this one. This place is always a little confusing, and it's always got me a little bit confused, because yes, it's between two black holes, and there's a bit where gravity is the same, but I'd imagine that would be a very small area, where the gravity is equal, and a ship, where if it was there, would basically just get torn apart. One side would get pulled into the other one, and the other side would get pulled into the other black hole, and you'd end up with kind of debris, and everything would have momentum when it's been ripped apart, and so there really wouldn't be anything left in the middle, maybe just one or two bits of debris, or debris, as the Americans like to say, which is that character from Series 4 of Arrested Development. And the best joke ever in that one is the Simon and Garfunkel Darkness song. Was it "Hello Darkness, my old friend"? It was the best skit of the entire series. Actually, you can see moments when Shion's quite like this in this game. Anyway, next battle time, and we're going to deal with the Serra 7F. Here you go, and the one next to him will be a different enemy, I can guarantee you. We'll see in about 5 seconds. They've got a slightly different shaped head, so I'm guessing it's a different enemy. Or not. Yeah, you go and slap it and they die, almost. Yeah, no, they're both Serra 7Fs, actually. So I'm just going to say that I lied about that one. The good thing about these battles is most of the time they're not dealing enough damage to really even come close, but it's just the cumulative damage that can be a problem, and especially if you don't have any healing items for them. I think that's the bigger issue with these. Try and kill them as quickly as possible, just because you need all your health you can get, and items that heal you are few and far between, and since you can't buy anything in this game, there was a shop system, but it's a remnant, of the shop system left in, and the armor system, which is a shame, but again, you can see how they've cut development. Okay, so this is a room, and I'm going to describe it in the best way I can. There are 4 squares all interconnected together, but certain parts, like for example a small side of the square or one corner, don't have pathways around them. So your idea is to navigate round these 4 squares to the other side of the room by destroying the walls in between, or the partitions in between them. Now here you have a Serra 6S and a Serra 7F, which is the one we just destroyed. I think they're confusing. So yeah, the idea is to get around, get all the chests. You don't have to go everywhere, and I'll show you how to get all the chests in this area. It's always a bit of a faff, this room. It's just needless padding, I guess. But then with RPGs, you can say a lot of it is needless padding. But yeah, so you want to really do the Tornado Fist, because it's got thunder in it. It should punch the way through it, really, but this guy's got a bit more HP than you'd expect. So really, any of its moves, but Shotbuster's a good candidate. And both of them should be able to put it down. And that should be the end of the battle. And yeah, you should be doing well. Got some anti-beam armor if you want to put that on someone, if they're particularly weak to beam. I think the Dina is quite good against that. As you can see there, that's the second square. The squares are positioned all together in one larger square, and you can go around a lot of them. And there are paths to the side walls as well. It's a bit of a confusing room, but once you've navigated it yourself, you'll understand that it's extremely simple and is very, very linear. But there are chests to be found, so you may as well do that now. Those chests, think about how big those chests are. You could fit probably 30 or 40 people piled on top of each other in one of those chests. That's kind of a worrying thing, isn't it? Areas there are just lying these huge components put in the chests. You wonder who does this, especially in a game that likes to explain everything like Xenosaga. But then again, you are saying, well, game mechanics become real life, but they explain a lot of other things in terms of that. They don't also explain why they take turns to smash each other's faces in, but then again, there are some things you just kind of accept. It's actually crazy that you can accept a turn, or at least I can. I know some people can't accept turn-based combat. Is engaging or even just realistic. Or not realistic, I think everyone accepts it's not realistic, but can suspend their disbelief for enough time to be like, yeah, no, cool, I get this. Which is cool enough. So here we have another one of these dudes who spins this thing. I think they can spin it around their head and shoot a laser at you, but I can't quite remember. Ah, yes, so here we have an executive armor and another Sarah 7S. This is actually a 7S, but the problem is the 7S and the 7F look so similar. There's a font, and it's basically two of them, and I have spent a long time trying to work out which one was which, so apologies if I announce it wrong now. The graphics are going to come later on to sort it all out. And that's what really takes the time. Photoshop graphics. Oh dear. But yeah, I moved over my computer to an SSD now, so things are faster. Hopefully I'll be able to put this game on the SSD and really speed this game up, because a lot of the issues, the way the game loads, is due to saving video files onto a hard drive and also loading all the stuff off here, off the hard drive. But obviously the games on the SSD won't be that much of a problem, and it's better for the SSD than writing video to it anyway. So yes, ooh, pardon me. If anyone who's wondering whether I'm going to be doing Xenosaga 3, the answer is of course yes. Xenosaga is still my beloved baby franchise, in which I will support and nurture until the days that we see a HD collection, which will probably be by the time I start the third game. No. It's a shame, but as much as I would like to, we're never going to see one. But if you want to kind of help along the way and make it feel like you've done your part to support the series, there is a lot of places that you can sign up to petitions, and you can tweet the guy who basically said you've got to make your voice heard if you want one, which is fair enough. What I would like to see, and I'd like to see it quite a bit, is a Kickstarter campaign, because I would fund probably at least £100 to that, which seems odd because the game wouldn't cost that, but there we go. So we'll get into the last battle of this episode. It's a Sarah 7F and a Sarah 7S, I think. They're really bizarre, so we'll just do what we usually do, which is stock, and then we can smack them really hard. I think it's a Sarah 7S. We'll see in a second once I finish stocking. Oh dear, screen goes black because of my lovely, lovely screensaver. Yes, they do. They put it over the head and shoot laser rain at you, which seems really inefficient, and then summon the Aurora Borealis. Oh yeah, Sarah 7S and 7Ss. Why did they make that? Imagine if you're sat there being like, we need to deploy 7 7Ss. Sorry, what? 7 Sarah 7Ss. You just completely mess up in the heat of the moment, wouldn't you? So we'll do an ice storm. Not as good, but we'll boost that. It was just to make sure we catch the slimy bugger, which he's alive by 1,000 health. So we will catch the slime bugger now by smashing him in the face, which I find is also a satisfactory way to end it. It's just walking up to them, slapping them in the face, and then blowing up. It makes you feel like more of a badass than you have any right to be. For some reason, the force field is in front of them, which mainly has any use, I guess, if you're exiting the area. Anyway, save point, massive save point, and lots of things in here to destroy, so destroy them all, as there are some good rewards. Some Heelys, which you could use, because Heelys are always good when you're a big, massive fuck-up robot. Some miniature Heelys, and then not Heelys as in those awful shoes that people wear that have wheels in them, which I can imagine wearing unevenly because you walk on one side of the wheel more, or causing accidents, but who am I to judge? I'm also not a 10-year-old kid who grew up in the 2000s. That could be why. Or the early 2010s, I guess. Anyway, we'll go save here, and we'll continue on with the next part in the next episode of Xenosaga Episode 2, Jenseits von und Böse. My German pronunciation is terrible. See you guys later. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.